Hey, happy Tuesday. It's time for a coffee break, don't you think? Join me with your favorite beverage, coffee, tea, iced tea, chocolate milk, whatever. And join me for a few minutes as we answer a viewer question today on coffee break. By the way, I really do appreciate the questions and the comments and just the good wishes about coffee break. This is an experiment. Try to make one of these every Monday through Friday and have them live at 9 a.m. And it's a way to hopefully grow the channel with new subscribers as well as build a stronger relationship with my viewers as well, and make this into something a whole lot of fun and something we look forward to every day. But I can't do it without your questions in the comments down below. So let's get to today's question, which is from Joseph Doy. And I think I've answered a question for Joseph before. It says, hey Bruce, I've been watching a lot of videos by creative professionals saying they are switching to the Surface Pros and Surface Books. They feel Apple is abandoning creative professionals. What do you think? Well, if the current state of things at Apple is a good indication, then they've definitely become more of a consumer electronics and lifestyle company than one that is catering to the professional creative out there. In fact, the sale of Mac computers is just a very tiny fraction of Apple's revenue. And of course, the smart money says that you're going to continue to focus on what's pulling in the money. Apple's not updated their Mac Pro since 2013. I'm hoping to see a refresh of those either later this month in March, but more than likely now we're probably looking at April, if there's a refresh at all. Tim Cook did recently allude to the fact that they've not abandoned the professional out there. But really, what does that all mean? Let's talk about that for just a minute. Now, anecdotally, most of the creative professionals that I have spoken to are looking to move to a Windows environment, not necessarily the Surface Pro or the Surface Book. There's been a few people interested in the Surface Studio, but that $3,000 entry fee kind of puts them off a little bit. Now, we're not going to sit here and denigrate Apple hardware. That's not what we do here on Coffee Break. On the other token, we also have to say, where's the value in Apple products, particularly this Mac line of computers, which is essentially always seems to be running a generation or two behind on technology while charging a premium price. You can argue how well the hardware and software works together and doesn't really need to be any better to have a great experience. That may be true. But nonetheless, when you're looking at a substantial investment, you have to justify that in your mind. You want the greatest and latest when you're shelling out several $1,000s for a machine. The reality is I can't think of a whole lot of software that is proprietary to the point that you have to have a Mac unless you're a Final Cut Pro user or Motion or Logic or something like that. For the most part, Windows World offers plenty of alternatives, if not equivalents, to what you can do on a Mac. In fact, I can't think of anything you really do on a Mac you can't do on a nicely made Windows machine. Now, as far as the Microsoft product goes, Surface, Surface Studio, Surface Book, these are definitely nicely made machines and certainly very beautifully constructed. And yes, I suppose they would appeal. And I think when I think of creative people, I always tend to zero in on video content, but really it could be illustrators, graphic artists, etc., that are in the creative space. So has Apple abandoned that market? I think they certainly don't care about it very, very much. It's just not an important part of their business segment. At one time, it was everything to Apple. It's who kept Apple in business, but they've since moved on, and I think it's time for creative professionals to also move on, unless Apple comes out with some compelling hardware and the software to keep them coming back to the world of Cupertino. Apple, I love Apple computers. I happen to own two MacBook Pros. One's a 2010 and one's a mid-2014 model. And I just gave that to my wife the other day. So For me personally, I'm all but done with Apple and Mac computers. It's simply I don't see the value there when I can get great performance for a whole lot less money, and this is important, great quality as well. That whole quality Apple thing, Apple doesn't hold they don't hold the patent on quality. There's some amazingly made machines, or you can make yourself one out of premium quality parts and have a wonderful experience and still end up paying a lot less money ultimately. And Windows 10, I happen to like Windows 10. Not crazy about all the telemetry, but there's ways around that. But Windows 10 has proven to be a rock stable operating system, and I have no complaints, and I think it works well for most creative professionals. But I'm not down on Apple. The Mac is still a great computer. The Mac OS is still a wonderful operating system. But it's just hard to justify those price tags at $3,000 or more for a laptop, and or purchasing a desktop machine that's got specs that are over 3 years old. It's just hard, but that's not where Apple's bread and butter is coming from. They're making the right business decision for them. And to go back to the days of catering only to the creative professional, yeah, I don't see that happening again. But thanks for your question. I want to get your opinions in the comments down below. Bruce Naylor, take care.